Hey guys, this is Russ, and this is She Wolf Alchemy. And today we're talking about when you're not confused. You know what the answer is. And this conversation might get a little bit uncomfortable. There are times when we are, as people, are like genuinely confused, right? Trauma, lack of information, anxiety, conflicting values, all of that can make us feel uncertain about a multitude of things. And this episode is not about those moments. It's about the moments where if someone offered you $1 million to answer honestly in 5 seconds, you know exactly what you'll say. If someone that we love was going through the same thing and they asked us, hey, what would you do? We know exactly what we would do. This episode is to briefly and quickly touch on one of the biggest lies I think that we tell ourselves. And though I hear all the time one of the biggest lies that people tell themselves is, I'm okay, I actually think one of the biggest lies we tell ourselves is, I don't know, because I don't know buys us time. It buys us time to avoid, it buys us time to hope, it buys us time to change stuff. It buys us time to pray that the decision makes itself and that we don't have to do anything, that we can point the finger to somebody else and we can shrug our shoulders and go, yeah, man, it was out of my hands. Time to keep us staying in a life that we know already isn't working for us. And when it comes to these type of decisions, sometimes this is about a career that we know we got to get out of, about a relationship that we know we're not really happy in. This is sometimes about a lifestyle that we know no longer fits for who we are becoming. Sometimes it is the version of us that we know is leading to our detriment and that we need a change. These are those questions like, should I leave this job? Should I end this friendship? Should I move? Should I finally start therapy? Do I need to get rid of my whole way of thinking and my whole philosophy? This is for the times when we are not gathering information anymore. We got the information, we know what we got to do, but we are scared to give ourselves permission. People sometimes during these moments, we ask family members, 10 good friends, we watch 30 TikToks and YouTube videos on a session. We go to a tarot reader, we ask her to pull the cards, we schedule that astrology session, and we say, read the stars. We journal, we pray, we ask strangers, and none of this is because we don't know. It's because we're hoping somebody else gives us a different answer. The truth of the matter is, you just don't want what it will cost to do the thing. Feels so incredibly expensive. But here's the thing, staying has a price as well. The truth of the matter is, every decision actually costs something. Yeah, leaving may cost us grief, but staying may cost you yourself. Yeah, changing careers may cost a little stability for some time, but never changing costs a lifelong regret. Yep, having boundaries, it costs disappointing people, but never having boundaries costs our peace of mind and resentment. Life doesn't ask whether you're willing to pay. I wish it was that way, but life asks us which bill are we willing to pay. Now, if y'all know me, you've heard me say this on multiple episodes. Sometimes the decision is it hurts no matter what. It's choosing which hurt is going to lead to something that we actually want. If each decision is pain, you might as well choose the pain that at least grows you. Choose the pain that at least has the possibility of happiness. Choose the pain that at least grants you freedom. Choose the pain that at least grants you a positive evolution. It all comes with a bill. Just because the cost of doing nothing seems cheap right now does not mean that tab is not adding up. You gotta pay. And I get it because sometimes when we have to make a decision, it feels like, oh, this feels scary. So obviously this is wrong. But not necessarily. Like I've told you guys this, I am a Saturn ruled girly, Capricorn rising, all type of plutonic aspects all through my chart. And I am a person who, like, it's gonna be hard regardless, right? I don't really have a lot of, "Oh, this is just so easy and flow naturally" type moments, right? When I have them, I stay wrong, but that's just not how my path has worked. And so, like, the whole "it's scary, maybe it's wrong" never really made sense to me. But I've had people in my life where it has made sense to them because they have had a life path where things are usually easy, they're usually flowy. And when you have had a life that, sometimes it feels scary because something is unfamiliar. But yeah, things are going to be unfamiliar when you outgrow a version of yourself. Sometimes the only thing that's dying is the identity that you've been carrying. How much must it suck to recognize that this version of you that you are putting on every day, to go into work, to go into your relationships, to go into your friendships, to go into the world with, feels off. It doesn't feel like you. You're sitting there going, like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but something feels very, very off. And you just keep sitting there in it. And here's the thing, when you get to that point, it's not like it just amazingly gets better. It 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 doesn't. It feels worse and worse, and resentment grows. And not only does resentment grow, I'm personally a believer that when you allow yourself to stay stuck in a position, whether that's a relationship or a friendship or a job or a way of living past the growth period, at least the way it works for me, the universe makes sure you have to suffer the consequences of it. Now, for some of us, it is quicker than others. I immediately get the consequences of my choices. It sucks. I hate it so much. I hate it so much. But I remember I was dating somebody recently who is Sag rising, Jupiter guy, and things just came easy for him. Like things just came very easy for him. Like he was the type that'd be like, I need to get my money up. And then a contract would just land in his lap, like literally the next day. He was just a person who, uh, fine as hell. I want to lie. That man fine as hell. He's still fine as hell. And he was used to like getting his way a lot. He was used to adults when he was little being like, oh my gosh, he's so handsome. Don't be mean to him. He a growing boy. He don't know no better. That man knew better. He was used to women in his life being like, oh, he's so fine. I just want to make it work. I just want to make it work. I just want to figure this out. He was used to people in his circle being like, yeah, but with access to him, I'm able to access other things. And so, I'm gonna ignore some things. He be on that bullshit, but I'm gonna ignore some things. He went through life and made it all the way to his mid 30s, really getting by on easy street. And, he's someone I knew in the past, and then we also, like, reconnected later. And, when we reconnected, he actually happened to be going through a really hard time in his life, and he did not know how to fucking deal. He did not know how to fucking deal with this moment because he was used to being able to just, like, be like, "Ah, I want things to be better." Things just magically felt better. And so when he was going through this hard period, I remember telling him, like, "Okay, there's just certain things you gotta do, bro." And for him, it was just like for a couple of months, he was just hard-headed. He was just like, "No, I'm just gonna, like, wish things into being better," because that's how things have always worked for me. I can just, like, wish things into being better. And he finally got to a point where he was like, "Oh, crap. I think you're right. I think I just kinda, like, gotta do the work." And I'm like, "Yeah. Yeah, you gotta do the work because when I tell you disaster upon disaster fell upon this man's life, one thing after another, after he kept resisting to make the changes the universe was asking of him, like, literally to the point where it was like, "Who did you fuck over and who put this curse on you?" It felt like someone had put his ass in a jar and was shaking that mud every day. And I remember, at one point, me and him sitting down and, like, having a real conversation, as friends. It's just like, "Yo, you go through a lot." And just be like, "Yo, um" I'm afraid that if you do not change, the next things that happen to you, you won't be able to reverse. It won't just be, oh, this is a bad week. Oh, this is a bad month. Oh, this has been a bad year. I'm afraid because so many things were happening. And it was, again, the universe was trying to force him to change. And he was so used to things going easy and breezy that when anything became hard, he was just like, oh, okay, I guess I just don't go that way. I just don't do that. And it's like, you can only do that, but for so long. And he kept saying to me, I don't feel like I'm ready to make this change. Here's the thing, life does not care if you feel ready. You don't have to stop being afraid. You don't have to become fearless before you can become honest. Sometimes courage is not the absence of fear. It's telling yourself the truth before your circumstances forces you to have to deal with the truth. Sometimes courage is doing the thing crying, sometimes doing the thing scared, doing the thing and not knowing how it's going to turn out. And oh my gosh, my control freaks, trust me, I'm there with y'all. That is so fucking scary. It is so scary. Again, I told y'all I had a huge change just when I went into my 30s of like just who I am as a person and my personality. But I also had a huge change when I became a mother. And it's one of the things that my friends often laugh about because there is a like before I had my daughter friends, and then there's my friends I met after I had my daughter. And like my friends who know me after I had my daughter, like they hear stories about me before and they're like, "What?" And they do not recognize. And in fact, I had one person who I used to be friends with, um, who it was a reoccurring thing for them to constantly be like, "Why do you say things like that? Why do you bring that up?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. That is so a part of how the way I used to operate." And they're just like, "Yeah, no, no, I don't see that." And I would have to remind them, like, "Oh, yeah, no, I had multiple births and redeaths. I had multiple times in my life where I was forced to be like, yo, this don't work now. You gotta change, or like this shit's about to turn up times 10. And I made a decision to change. And one of the things that like was a huge thing for me was like control, knowing the outcome, being like, if I do this, I do that, and this is how this is gonna come. And I think sometimes it can confuse folks because I can be very all over the place and just very go with the flow in certain areas of my life. But there's other areas I am very much now, I want all the details. I want to plan, I want to strategize, and I want to know exactly what I'm walking into. And when you're that type of person, being told, yeah, sometimes courage is not knowing and just doing the thing anyway. It feels like, yeah, yeah, no, that's not how I operate. You're asking me to operate outside of myself. But yeah, sometimes change is asking you to operate outside of yourself. Look, I'm not saying this episode is for everybody. And again, this is just a real quick check in. But if you are someone who has been sitting with the same decisions and you've been sitting knowing that something feels off in your friendship, and look, I get it. It is hard when your whole friend group is like the same people you've been kicking up for years, and all of a sudden you can't relate to them. All of a sudden their jokes ain't funny. All of a sudden it feels burdensome going out with them. You looking around like I feel like I carry all you. I feel like I am the freaking backbone of this group and my back is tired. It is hard to look at that and go, I think I need to expand my group. I think I might need to exit out of here. It is hard when you are in a relationship and you're like, I already built this much with this person. We already got all these things together and a name. And I've told you guys, I've had to do this before myself. I'm not even talking to you guys about something I have not had to do. I have had to sit there and go, we have bank accounts together. We are trying to buy a house. Shit, I've told this story several times. Like, I had to recognize in the middle of wedding planning that, like, I can't do this. This is not, I can't go through this. This is not what I'm supposed to be doing. This is not what you're supposed to be doing. We are trying to force a thing, and there are so many things popping up telling us not to do this, and I can't keep hitting go. I've been there. I get it. It is hard. It is hard to tell all these people who just told you congratulations. Oh my gosh. Let me see the ring. Oh my gosh, let's plan the bridal shower. I can't wait to see you. Da da da. And you have to go and text all of them. Like, so like, hey, we're not gonna do that thing. Uh yeah, the wedding thing that we told y'all that we were gonna do. Hell, it was hard for me to say that to my parents. Hell, it's hard to look at a career that you already got all these degrees in, that you can have all these awards in, that you are being promoted in. People are saying you're so good, you're so talented, and you are miserable. And all you know is that you're miserable. And all you know is that you don't want to do this for another 4 years. It is hard to walk away from that. It is hard to walk away from a lifestyle where people looking at you like you the man. where people looking at you like, damn, they wish they had your life, and you just know that it feels lonely and it feels like you're playing a role at this point, and it feels like you can't take it no more and you're on the edge, you're not sleeping well, nothing feels good anymore. The things that you used to enjoy that you no longer have an interest in, everything feels hopeless. It is hard. We have all these circumstances, and it's like, but I don't know if I walk away, what does that look like? I don't even know what walking away from these things look like. And this episode isn't about walking away. This episode is about doing the things that you know you're supposed to do, but you keep sitting there and telling yourself, I don't know, I'm just confused, to buy you more time. For some of you, you know that you're supposed to take that leap and go to that new career. Go to that career that makes you happy. Go to that career. Yep, you're gonna be a newbie in, but money might be a little bit tight in. Damn, you gonna start off maybe entry level or middle level, and you are already working all the way up in this other one. It's gonna be hard to walk away from that person that you're like, everybody think we're the perfect couple. Everybody think we're so in love. Hell, maybe even the partner is still so in love, and you're like, I am doing this because it seems like it makes sense. And this is not an emotional thing. It just seems like it makes sense. I get anxious thinking about just doing this forever, but everybody expects me to do this forever with this person, so I guess I am. It can be a long dread and anxiety when you're like, these people have been my friends for years. This is the only crew I know. I trust these people. I love these people, but fuck, I cannot have a single conversation with them anymore. They are still on the same shit they were on when we was in high school. I hate looking at my freaking phone and seeing their name on it. It makes me so anxious and it makes me feel so depleted at the idea of talking to them. My only point is when you know the answer, but you keep saying you're confused, but you know, if anybody else told you the same story of which it is that you're going through, that you are sitting on, not making any moves on, and you know exactly what you would tell them if it was anybody but you in your shoes doing it. This episode is just a gentle nudge for you to be honest with yourself, a gentle nudge for you to sit down and actually map out what making the move would actually mean and what's the first step to it. Now, for only legal things. I don't want this podcast on the news because somebody decided that the thing they were sitting on was illegal and horrible for the rest of us. It's not at all what this is about. For the legal, honest, helpful things. If you notice you've been sitting on the same decision for months, if every conversation with yourself circles back to the same thing, but you're still asking for signs, you're still saying, yeah, I'm just going to sit on it because I don't got clarity. This is just to say maybe you're not confused. Maybe you're just grieving the answer. And grieving is okay, but don't confuse grieving with waiting. I think we believe that clarity is always supposed to feel comfortable, but it doesn't. Avoidance often wears the mask of confusion. And sometimes it's not that we're waiting for the answer, we're waiting for us to finally like what the answer is. And with that, you're postponing this hard decision. But the thing is, it never makes the decision easier. Every day that you postpone that decision, you're still actually making one that still has a cost. So that's all I have for today's check in. I do hope you guys enjoy. We will be back with another episode. I know I'm trying, guys. I promise you, we are trying so hard to be good and on schedule, but we have so many things. Gabby starting her own stuff. We're really proud of her. We're really excited for her. We'll be posting her stuff when she gets done editing. She's been traveling, doing a whole bunch. We're really, really proud of her. Me and Neek have been traveling. Me and Nick have been traveling a lot. So it's just been hard to get everybody to sit down and do the thing. And we have dates, we have things planned out to sit down and do the thing and make sure we're on time. However, just things outside of our control have been happening. But you guys should have another episode in 2 weeks. We appreciate your listening. Go back and listen to some older episodes after this if you're missing us a little too much. And be sure to head over to our Instagram to like, follow, and share. Also, like, follow, share the podcast wherever you're listening. Leave a review with some words. And other than that, you'll hear the sound of my voice in 2 weeks. Bye.